Hi, Jamie here. I'm one of the co-founders of Jacobs Berger, and I want to thank you for taking a couple minutes to watch today's video. Today, I'm focusing on terminating child support in New Jersey, when and how. This can be a daunting and complex issue for people who are going through it. So I want to give you some information today to hopefully make it clear. As parents, we always want to do right by our kids. We want to financially and emotionally support them, but there comes a point in time where child support should end. So we're going to focus on that topic today. Before we jump into the mechanics of it, I want to give you a little disclaimer. I want you to remember that every case is different. Every family is different. So sometimes the laws as they're written don't apply to your specific circumstances. That's why it is so important for you to consult with an experienced family law attorney who practices in this area, because again, those nuances matter and they specifically matter to you and your family. I started out by saying that I was going to focus on the when and the how. So let's start with when. When does child support typically end in New Jersey? Typically, child support ends at age 19 unless the child is enrolled full-time in continuing education, meaning college or trade school or something of that nature. But typically, if a child does not graduate high school and continue on with their education, then child support is going to end when they turn 19. If you find yourself in a circumstance where your child or children are continuing on with their education, then child support will typically continue until they turn 23. That's the age at which the state says that child support should end. Again, that may not be the case for each child because your circumstances may warrant a continuation of support, but there has to be a bright line rule from the state's perspective as to an age where child support concludes. So child support while your kid is in college may change. It may be modified depending on whether they're away, living at college, living at home and commuting. Again, these are very specific circumstances that need to be analyzed with the appropriate attorney. It's also important to look at the agreement that you and your spouse entered into, or you and your co-parent entered into with respect to emancipation. Some people agree to certain emancipation benchmarks in their agreement, and that's what's going to dictate when a child is emancipated. The other way to look at emancipation is a child being outside the sphere of influence of their parents. Are they gainfully employed? Are they able to financially support themselves? Are they in a long-term relationship and living with somebody? Those are things that a court would consider in making a determination whether a child is emancipated. Again, it's an outside the sphere of influence analysis. So let's talk about how to actually terminate child support in New Jersey. If you and your co-parent are able to work together and can execute a consent order terminating child support as of a specific date, of course, this is the preferred method. You want to make sure that consent order addresses all of the issues, has the language in it that you need, especially if you're one of those people who's paying through the state probation system. You want to make sure that there are considerations in that consent order that you may not be thinking about because you just don't know. So again, consult with the right attorney who can walk you through this process. If you and your co-parent can agree, then the person who's typically paying support is going to file an application or a motion with the court. The court will then make a decision as to when child support should terminate it, if child support should terminate, and they're going to be guided by the specific facts in your case. Courts are always looking out for the best interest of children. So regardless of how old that child is, there may be circumstances where a court's going to say terminating child support is not the proper thing to do in this case. That comes up when we have children with special needs, special educational needs. So those are things that you really want to consider when you're making that application. And defending that application, if you're receiving support, you want to make sure that your attorney knows all of the facts and circumstances and why child support should continue past those threshold ages that I said earlier. Mediation is a third option to try to resolve these issues. Sometimes the agreement that you entered into with your co-parent or spouse will have specific language in it that says that you have to mediate disputes like this. So you're going to want to make sure that you take out that agreement if you haven't looked at it in a number of years and see whether or not there's a mandatory mediation requirement. Even if there isn't, a court may require you to mediate before they'll decide the issue. So it's maybe something that you want to think about doing preemptively if the court's going to guide you there eventually. It may save you time and money in the long run just going the mediation route. Now that we've talked about the when and the how, I want to give you some cautionary advice. If you're the person paying support, you should not just stop paying. This is considered self help, and it's not something you want to do, certainly not something you want to do without first consulting with an attorney who's experienced in this area of law. The reason for that is because if you stop paying support, that support continues to be owed and arrears will accrue. And there is a good chance that a court will require you to pay those arrears, even if they terminate child support. They also may require you to pay counsel fees on the part of your co parent if you just stop paying. So, again, you want to make sure you're getting competent advice on this area before you just turn off the support faucet. I really hope you found this video helpful. We have a lot of resources on our website, videos on topics like this and others, and I hope you'll take some time to watch those videos. One thing I want to leave you with today is that this issue is complex and nuanced, and you want to make sure you have an experienced family law attorney by your side. The attorneys at Jacobs Berger are just that. We practice in this area day in and day out with the goal of de-stressing the process for our clients. Please don't hesitate to pick up the phone when you're ready. Reach out to one of our experienced attorneys and take action that will help your family today.